Well, here to talk through the challenges, Simon Maughan. He's head of sales and distribution at MF Global. Simon, thank you so much for being on the program with us. Now, we seem to understand, actually, this is from the Economista, that the EU may actually boost bank capital ratio requirements in exchange for not imposing haircuts. So I just want to ask you, first of all, what would be the best solution? Do we just need straight outright a 50-60% haircut? Do the banks need to accept this? And if they don't, so should we boost their capital requirements?
Well, the first thing to say is that this is always a second-best solution. Recapitalising the banks comes because no decision can be reached on sovereign haircuts and enforced write-downs for Greece and making bondholders share the pain. So rather than deal with that issue, they drop to the second level and say, well, let's recapitalise the banks based on their holdings of that debt. And then when we look into detail of the plan, they say, well, why don't we recapitalise the banks not based on their gross holdings of debt, but on their net, i.e. let's allow them to offset any gains on sterling bonds, for example, or German bunds, against losses on Greek and other debt. And that simply won't work in the regulatory environment, but it's a very neat political fudge.
But Simon, talk me through this. I mean, I know the ECB has said that actually they only want a voluntary haircut in the event of a Greek default. But why should we not force the banks to take an involuntary haircut? Because if we start recapitalizing, then this puts in serious jeopardy some of the AAA credit-rated countries.
Yeah, the reason why the ECB is after a voluntary haircut is because basically they want to avoid a technical default. They want to avoid the consequences on the CDS market, the insurance market, and the ramifications. They don't know how intertwined the banking system is around the Greek situation, and if they can pretend that any debt forgiveness or debt write-off was voluntary rather than forced, then they might be able to avoid the legal ramifications of that effective default. But we're still arguing, we've been arguing about this for years. Now's come to the point that if you've decided that bank recaps is the best way to go because you can't solve your sovereign problems, which is the core issue, then you really have to enforce the haircuts on the banks and enforce the recaps. It's no good giving them 9 months to come up with plans, because that's a long, long time for investors to wait.
Yeah, we just need a resolution. Simon, thank you. Simon Maughan then from MF Global.